Hi, Gareth Jenkins here, back on the Salon Guy channel. Thanks so much for your support and your comments. Today we're going to break it down into really hair cutting essentials. What works for me, how I do it, how I integrate that daily behind the chair and have a ton of fun doing it. So let's get started. So let's start with the tools that I use. There's choices between scissors, or as Americans call it, shears, and razors. Why would I choose one over the other? And within that, why would I choose a specific brand of shear and scissor? Well, it's important that you find what works for you. I've worked with different kinds. We have a classic fixed scissor, and then also we have something where I can work with a swivel shear. And so I would use them for different things. And in some of my videos, you would have seen me use the different tools. In terms of making sure that the tool is working correctly, making sure, of course, that we oil them every day, and also that the tension isn't too tight so that we're not chomping away at the hair, but truly just using that thumb. And so this is just a great exercise. I remember as an apprentice, I was told to go home, sit and watch TV and have my thumb just move, so I've got complete control over that tool. When it comes in terms of texture or thinning shears, depending on what it is you're trying to do, I always try to think of me adding texture and movement and different lengths as opposed to just thinning, because then we get a little bit too aggressive and sometimes destroy a great shape that we've created. So you have the choice between a fine and also a slightly thicker tooth. Why? Well, because if I want to aggressively remove or aggressively add texture, then I'm going to use something that has more teeth that are slightly thicker. If I want very detailed finishing with my texture or thinning shear, then I'm going to use something that has a finer tooth. And then finally, the razor. Depending on the type of tool, it could be a straight edge razor, or it could be something that works with a guard. It will still give you much more softness to your edge. So, do you want a blunt, sharp finish, or do you want a soft, textured edge? That would determine whether you're going to choose a scissor or a razor. Next, what kind of comb are you going to use? Are you going to choose something that has a longer style, or are you going to use a traditional smaller edge? And what's the difference between the size of the teeth, whether they're narrow and close together, or whether they're wider? Well, it really comes down to, again, what kind of effect do you want on the hair? If I want looser tension within my sections, then I'm going to choose the wider tooth. It's not going to be so precise, it's going to be much more broken, but it might be the edge that I'm trying to achieve. If I want much more of a classic edge, I'm absolutely going to use the finer side. So I have many choices within that. So there's two approaches that I really take when it comes to cutting hair. It can either be that I take a haircut fully and I just want to implement and use that on my guest. The other option I have is that I can break it down into more of a technique. So which techniques am I combining to get the desired end result? And those really work off of three basic ideas of where I hold the hair and what result I'm going to get. So the first one really is, do I want heaviness or maximum weight? And we can call that, for the sake of argument's sake, one length, all right? Meaning that if I'm working with one length, I want all of this hair to fall naturally like so. And as a result, that gives me maximum weight at the bottom. The next option that I have is if I want to get a build-up of weight. And to do that, I have a lot more options than the one length, because at one length, I'm just bringing the hair down at really 0 degrees. I'm trying not to use any tension at all. But if I look at graduation, what I'm trying to achieve here is some kind of build-up of weight. So then what I'll do is I'll remove that hair away from its natural state. Now, if I work with lower elevation, something say like 1 degree or 2 degrees of elevation, it's going to look very much like a one length, isn't it? But if I go much higher and much closer to pulling it straight out from the head, then I'm going to remove more weight. So we have lots of different options, really anywhere between 1 to 89 degrees of elevation from that 0 point. And then the final option I have, because both of the previous categories that I've talked about have given me weight, maximum weight, and then a build-up of weight. And so with lots of my guests, what I want to do is I want to reduce or remove weight. And so the way that we can do that is by bringing anything kind of 90 degrees from the head or above. And if I'm trying to, say, work with the shape of the head and get lots of movement throughout, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw the hair directly out from the head or take it beyond. And that way I get a removal of weight to complement anything else that I've done in the haircut. So to recap those three, remember I started off with what I called one length, meaning that that gave me maximum weight. I then had graduation that gave me a nice build-up of weight. And then finally, when I go in with whatever choice of layers that I do, the objective of those layers is to remove or reduce weight. So that's the principles that I work off of. Now for you, you may have come from somewhere else educationally, but this way I can organize exactly what I'm doing wherever I am on the haircut so that I don't get lost and I'm always in control. So I really hope that that was helpful for you. Those are the principles that I work off of every single day behind the chair. Leave some comments below. Make sure that you connect with me on Instagram. In the description below is my Instagram handle, and I would love to engage with you any way that I can.